President Donald Trump has repeatedly positioned himself as a strong defender of Christianity, both domestically and internationally. Through public statements, executive actions, and policy decisions, particularly in his second term, he has openly championed Christian values, religious liberty, and the protection of Christians facing persecution worldwide. Supporters view these efforts as fulfilling promises to restore faith's central role in American life and global affairs. Here are 7 key reasons why President Trump openly supports Christianity around the world, drawn from his administration's actions, speeches, and initiatives. 1. Recognition of Christianity as the most persecuted religion globally. Trump has frequently highlighted that Christians face the highest levels of persecution worldwide, describing it as an existential threat in places like Nigeria. He has designated countries such as Nigeria as a country of particular concern due to widespread killings of Christians by radical groups, emphasizing that the U.S. must confront such violence to protect believers. This stance reflects his view that acknowledging and addressing Christian persecution is a moral and security imperative. 2. Prioritizing international religious freedom. In U.S. foreign policy, building on his first term executive order advancing international religious freedom, Trump has integrated religious liberty, especially for Christians, into diplomacy and aid decisions. He has called on nations to end persecution, hosted global events like the UN meeting on religious freedom, and directed resources to combat violations. His administration has framed religious freedom as America's first freedom and a national security priority, often focusing on Christian communities in regions of high persecution. 3. Establishment of faith-focused offices and task forces. In his second term, Trump created the White House Faith Office led by Pastor Paula White-Cain and a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias, while primarily domestic. These entities extend to international advocacy by promoting religious liberty abroad and coordinating efforts to protect Christians. He has also established the Religious Liberty Commission to advise on policies safeguarding faith globally, signaling a commitment to elevating Christianity's role in policy. 4. Threats of action against countries persecuting Christians. Trump has issued strong warnings, including threats to halt U.S. aid, impose sanctions, or even consider military responses against nations allowing mass killings of Christians, for example, Nigeria. Such statements aim to deter persecutors and demonstrate U.S. solidarity with global Christian communities, earning praise from persecuted believers and faith leaders who see it as tangible support. 5. Advocacy for persecuted Christians in refugee and humanitarian contexts. Trump has historically prioritized persecuted Christians in refugee admissions, for example, during his first term, and continues to frame U.S. humanitarian efforts around protecting faith communities fleeing violence. Despite broader immigration restrictions, his rhetoric stresses moral responsibility to aid Christians targeted for their beliefs, aligning with calls from evangelical groups to resume or expand protections for those escaping persecution. 6. Public declarations of bringing back Christianity and faith. Trump has openly stated intentions to bring back religion and make America more religious than ever before, often tying this to global influence. At events like the National Day of Prayer and National Prayer Breakfast, he has affirmed Christianity's foundational role, hosted faith leaders, and pledged to defend believers worldwide against bias or violence. Supporters interpret these as efforts to counter secular trends and promote Christian values internationally. 7. Alignment with evangelical and conservative Christian priorities. Trump's support resonates with his base, including evangelicals who credit him with saving Christianity through policies on religious liberty, family values, and opposition to perceived anti-Christian forces. His administration's actions, such as pardoning pro-life activists seen as persecuted and appointing faith advisors, extend to global advocacy. positioning the U.S. as a defender of Christian interests abroad against threats like radical ideologies or government restrictions. These efforts have energized conservative Christian communities who see Trump's openness as a bold stand for faith in an era of global challenges to Christianity. While critics debate the scope and implications, his administration's record shows consistent public and policy-level support for Christians worldwide.